We are joined by Dr. Kinvraj Jangid. He's a West Asia expert from the O.P. Jindal Global University, and he's joining us from Tel Aviv. Dr. Jangid, thanks for being with us. Now, what are, Israel and Iran really trying to achieve with this direct war? Does it fit into, the bigger goals that both of them have for the region?
Thank you. Well, they both have certainly different set of agendas. Iranian agenda has been to carry on with its nuclear ambition. One doesn't get to know, is it very close to get to a nuclear weapon? In fact, there are contestations. Does it even want a weapon at all? Or is it something that is more likely an aggressive propaganda of the American and the Western media joined by the Israeli media? However, the last report of the IAEA, the Atomic Energy Agency of the United Nations, was the most turning point event. In the last 20 years, no matter how many Western pressures and sanctions happened, IAEA did not find Iran violating any of the NPT norms.
Right.
So 2 weeks back, IAEA's report was the most, I think, decisive blow to the Iranian narrative. Because if IAEA said, we don't trust what's happening in Iran, Israel was ready with a plan to attack. And Donald Trump has been, in a way, very, very interestingly dragged into it. I mean, he's the president who didn't want to really get involved into any of the interventionist, adventures of the United States. But keeping that aside at the moment, so Iran certainly lost its main agenda. It came under a direct Israeli attack. And what is more revealing, in the last 8 days, it seems like Iran doesn't have a retaliatory attack on Israel. I've been here for the last 8 days.
Yes.
The Indian students got rescued from Tehran. Somebody on a national TV asked me, what's the situation in Israel? I said, actually, Israel is stable. I mean, there are public buses running, there are universities functioning. And I doubt if there would be a emergency kind of a situation inside Israel, because Iran really has been exposed. So Iran lost the agenda, Iran has been exposed. And when it comes to Israel, well, it got something that has been its national obsession for the last 25 years. I should say it's more of an obsession of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, who really drove this point that Iran is an existential threat.
Indeed, Dr. Jangid, but now that things have moved to open war, though you seem to believe that, Israel clearly has the upper hand, how has that shifted power dynamics in West Asia, especially with the P5 countries like the US, Russia, China getting involved with trying to, some diplomatic push?
As of now, when America is not involved, and according to Donald Trump, for the next 2 weeks, he's not going to take any decision about it. It's a very, very tight fight between the two players. America's involvement would make it more complicated for the Iranians as well as for the region and for even the rest of the world. Because America's position is much more compromised against Iran. Unlike Israel, which does have, let's say, an existential fear from the Iranian negation of the Israeli state, Iranian negation of the two-state solution, and Iranian support to all kind of anti-Semitic and the anti-Zionist, proxy fights. America doesn't have such a thing. Think of it. Iran is becoming nuclear. If it is becoming nuclear, then in the similar case of India, going against this nuclear apartheid, the American and the Western countries' hegemony, which was imposed on the rest of the countries through NPT. So Iranian position will get much more, let's say, legitimacy once America starts this war. Another point where I think is that Trump doesn't have his support base on this. Less than 22% Americans support America's war with Iran.
Okay.
So
the fact that Iran now seems to have some legitimacy, is the nuclear issue really driving this conflict, and how much will it shape the diplomacy that's going to follow? I mean, Iran can make the argument that it was attacked and hence needs a nuclear weapon.
No, nuclear issue is not driving this war.
Okay.
What is driving this war is the extremist radical ideology that Iranian regime has been propagating since 1979. It's an ideology that has directly threatened the existence of the Israeli state and negated the two-state solution that the rest of the world and even the Palestinians accepted. Mahmoud Abbas, a year back, from Ramallah, said this to the Iranians, that don't wash your hands with Palestinian blood. Try not to intervene in our matters. So I think Iran is on a bigger mission. Nuclearization is a means to that mission, which is the regional dominance, hegemony, propagating a kind of thought of Islam that doesn't work with the rest of the countries in the region.
Okay.
So I think nuclearization becomes an issue of fight, but the larger scheme is much different for the Iranian state.
Dr. Jangid, how are domestic politics, in Israel affecting the way that the leaders are handling the war, and even in Iran? Because after all, at the end of the day, you need the support of your people to be fighting a war.
Well, interestingly, in Israel, in the last 10 years, the country hasn't been united on anything that the Netanyahu and his government was, leading with. But Iranian issue has really united the Israelis. Many Israelis were out there for anti-war in Gaza. They were protesting against this government and its maximalist agenda on many fronts. But Iran is something that most of the Israelis relate as an existential threat. And this is what I said, that if one looks at it from the Israeli perspective, what Iran has been propagating against Israel since 1979 is extremely dangerous. So Netanyahu is very happy. For the first time, he stands very supported by a large scale of the Israeli society. Nothing like that happened for him in the last 15 years. He got a political rebirth in this, saga. Very worrying sign is happening in the military report. So today's military report said that Iranian domestic stability is really intact. That 8 days of attacks, overwhelming use of force hasn't really shaken the Iranian government. It seems like Iran is also holding it out well. Right. I think it would then make a case who will survive this fight, how long. I think now everybody is going to wait for the 2 weeks, and Israel will try to keep the pressure on Iran so that Iran doesn't really take the deal till the end of 2 weeks, and Iran will try to stand tall and make an image that it is really united as well in this hour of existential war with Israel.
Dr. Jangid, also, what sort of impact will this war have on things like oil prices, which people are concerned about, and for the larger peace of the region? Also, if we look at Israel's future in what looks like it's going to get, more and more isolated in this hostile neighborhood.
It is indeed the case. Kenneth Waltz used to be a guru of IR theories, and he used to tell us that nobody wins in war. Winning a war is like an earthquake. So Israel will not win this war even if Iran is not getting nuclear. Iran might not get nuclear for another 2 decades, but it doesn't mean Israel will have any political solution in Gaza. When it comes to the Iranians, again, for them, nuclear issue is a means. I think the survival of the regime is the objective, and the survival of the Shia revolution and its agenda is the ultimate aim of the regime. When we really look at wars, like, being an Indian, it really saddens the amount of ideological and power game can really make these states act in such a unilateral manner. I think Iran, what Iran has been up to will really not be in favor of the Iranian people as well as the rest of the region. And of course, a country like India and many parts of the world will suffer because of the oil prices. And what's going to be sad is that this war can also drag on for 6 months and maybe a year. I think that's a bigger worry that this war will have for the rest of the people.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Kinbraj Jangid, West Asia expert from OP Jindal Global University. Thank you for joining us from Tel Aviv and giving us an almost on-the-spot account of what's happening and a perspective.